Hey there, Jim Johnson from Accent Help here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the intonation for a Spain accent. So that Castilian Spanish or Andalusian, basically the accents of Spain Spanish. So when doing this, one of the ways that it can be different from many Latin American Spanish is the actual intonation. So it's a very staccato, a sort of a choppy form of this intonation. So it can feel very staccato or choppy. It can feel very punchy. Even more so than those images, one of them that I really like to think of is the plucking quality. And there's a lightness to it. So I like to think of almost like you're plucking a feather or you're going to pluck a hair or something like that. And the plucking action goes upward as you do it. Now, one of the things that I find helpful with any accent that I'm working on is to physicalize, especially the intonation, but sometimes other elements as well. So I think it's really important to get the physical action going to try to help out with what you are trying to make happen vocally, right? So with this, one of the helpful actions, I think, is to do a plucking action, and the plucking action needs to go upward in the pluck. So I'm going to do the pluck, and always the intonation is strongest for any accent on operative words, on stressed words. So for the stressed words for a Spanish speaker from Spain, you will tend to hear this kind of a plucking happen. I'm overdoing it, if anything, at the moment. But that's where we want to start so that it can become actually lighter over time. But this slight plucking action here is very helpful with an accent of Spain. So this kind of plucking is a very helpful form of it. And notice again that I'm plucking upwards slightly. Now, another variation that sometimes I find helpful is sometimes for people that makes them kind of pull back, almost go towards Transylvanian or something like that. So sometimes I need to work with them on getting a more forward energy to it. So sometimes I think of it as like pointillism painting, like you're dabbing. You're just going to put a little dot. So it's that Laban action of dabbing. So with this accent as well, you might do this slight dabbing quality as you stress a word. So once again, this kind of pointillism dabbing can be very helpful for some people. Now, sometimes those don't work. And a third one that I default to a decent bit is what I like to think of as fighting with a rapier. So a rapier version of a sword is the very, very thin, long blade. And I want you to think of it as it's not a slicing action, so it's not a broadsword or something like that. It's a pointing action. So with the pointing, as though you are going to like cut the button off of someone's shirt standing in front of you. And again, the energy is sort of upward and it's light. So I find it really helpful to make the sword with my pointing finger, with my index finger, and to make sure that the sword has its point upward as I do this, so that I am on the operative words is when I'm doing the slight attempt at cutting off the buttons of the shirt. So once again, physicalizing this element by doing this action may be helpful for you as you work on the intonation for this more Castilian Spanish accent, something along this line. So again, physicalizing what you're doing, and with this accent, I think it's very helpful to think of a very gentle upward pluck, or to think of this pointillism dabbing, or to think of a rapier doing a very gentle cut, like you're just barely going in to make that cut, to cut the button off of someone's shirt, or something like that. If you want to learn more about learning this accent or learning other accents for actors, you can check out the website accenthelp.com.